ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fabulous Phoenix Hour. I am your host, the almost as fabulous Phelan Fairchild, and I am delighted to see everybody here. We have a magnificent studio audience, and I'd like to send everybody virtual greetings watching around the web via via phoenix.rezzed.TV, where you can also watch us live as it happens on the show where we interface with the developers of the Phoenix Viewer. Ladies and gentlemen, later on in the show, we'll be taking your questions. And with me up here is the equally fabulous Jessica Lyon. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Phelan. Hey, everybody.
And it's good to see you. How have you been over the week?
Good. Busy. Crazy. Insane. But, yeah, pretty good. And how you been?
Absolutely. Oh, gosh, I've been absolutely delightful. Let me tell you what, I skipped drunk Saturday and instead did it yesterday. Paid the price. Woo! Let me tell you what. So anyway, I'm recovering beautifully, though. Red wine is becoming quickly my new best friend. So let us get on. We've got an amazing show lined up for you guys today, and I'm really excited because we've also got an incredible announcement coming from the Phoenix Viewer development team. Jessica, why don't you get us started on announcements, dear?
Right, so I'm going to keep the announcements a little bit short today if I can, because we do have something a little bit more important to talk about for the second half of the show. So the first couple of things is that we do have two new developers on the team. One of them is Wolf Looney, and you may know him from, he was on the Emerald team back in the day. And he was fabulous with XML files, basically skinning and interface design and so on. And he's joined us. And we also have someone you may not have heard of, which is Tosh Torog. I can never pronounce it quite right. She is actually a friend of Erin, who's our lead on the Firestorm project, and she has actually been working on Firestorm for a little while now in the background and supplying us with patches and little fixes here and there. And so her main focus is also going to be on the Firestorm viewer. And so yeah, I've got IMs coming. And that brings into the Firestorm preview. Okay, so I'm very excited, and I think most people are very excited. Firestorm is on schedule, and we are anticipating having the preview release out by the 31st, or on the 31st of January. It will be available for everyone to download. However, we cannot provide support officially for the viewer. It is a preview build, and I've said this before, and I'm going to keep on saying it. People got to understand, it is a preview. It's not meant to be used full-time yet. It still has crash issues. It's got all kinds of bugs and things in it. It's basically to give you an opportunity to get an idea of what we've been working on, where we're going with it, and where we are currently. And so, again, it is a preview. On top of the preview, I will be doing a tutorial video. Hopefully we'll have it on our YouTube page by Wednesday or Thursday. And this video tutorial is basically going to be all about customizing the Firestorm interface, because there are all kinds of options that we've provided, different ways of seeing and using the interface, different ways of setting up your workflow. And so I'm going to do a little video on how to do those things, because they may not be immediately obvious, especially if it's the first time you've logged into it. And so we're going to have that. That will hopefully be on Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. And I'll put a link up in our support group about that when the time comes, once it's online. I would also ask that if you are going to use the Firestorm preview build, please join our Phoenix Firestorm preview group. You can get it from my profile. Because we can provide support for the viewer, our support people are just as new to it as you guys will be. Though they will try to help you if they can, we simply can't provide support for viewers that aren't official releases. And this is not an official release, it is a preview. So if you want to use it, join the Phoenix Firestorm preview group. If you have trouble or questions, ask in there. There's a lot of people in that group that have been self-compiling Firestorm for a while now, and they have as much experience as our developers do on the viewer, and they can be very helpful in getting you guys on the right track in doing what you want to do. And that's about that for that. And if you have questions about Firestorm, please send them to Phelan, and we will answer them when we get to the question point of the show. Okay, so there's been some confusion. I put a message of the day up on the viewer about a week and a half ago that we're blocking 156 and 168. We are blocking Phoenix version 156 and Phoenix version 168, not 225, not 373. We're not blocking 818, just 156 and 168. And if you are on one of those viewers, please update to 818. If you have trouble upgrading to 818 or 373, contact support. They can help you. They can get you set up with a newer viewer. 156 and 168 are old. They have the worst crash rates. They're astronomically bad, and we want people off of these really bad releases that we put out so long ago. And so there's been a lot of confusion. We're not blocking any other Phoenix viewer versions other than 156 and 168. Phoenix will continue to work with all the builds that are on our downloads page. None of those will be blocked. So there's been confusion, people saying, oh my gosh, we won't be able to log in, Phoenix is dead in 6 days. No, Phoenix is alive and well, and it will continue to be alive and well. There's been a lot of confusion with the last office hour where I said that Linden Lab will be turning off support for search in V1 viewers in the next few months. Linden Lab hasn't made an official date for that, and I can almost guarantee you they will give the users an official notice, official blog post, with plenty of time ahead of time. They will stop support for the 1.23 viewer before they disable search in V1 viewers. And it's important to understand why they're disabling search in V1 viewers is because they need to move forward with Viewer 2 codebase and Viewer 2 features. It is not a bad thing, it is a good thing. And so let's welcome it if we can. I think you guys will discover that Firestorm is, it has, 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, you guys heard me, making excuses for Firestorm, please, it's a work in progress, work has just begun. When you guys see Firestorm, you're going to absolutely love it. I can't believe how far we've come in such a short period of time. It's amazing. It still has lots of bugs, and it doesn't have Phoenix features yet, but the interface is amazingly similar to the Phoenix interface so far. The last thing I want to talk about, because I've only got a few minutes left, I want to bring up a Jira, and I've got a little URL here in front of me. And this is web profiles. Linden Lab is bringing web profiles to the Second Life service. Web profiles are available. You can preview them in the 2.5 beta from Linden Lab. I'm going to reserve my own personal opinion about web profiles. And I'm not going to ask people to go and vote for that Jira. What I'm going to ask for you to do is read the Jira. I want you to download and install 2.5 beta from Linden Lab. I want you to experience it. I want you to formulate your own opinion on whether or not you like the idea of web-based profiles. And then if you dislike the idea, I'd like you to vote. If you like the idea, don't vote. Okay, so I'm not putting out a call to vote for this. I don't want people to just blindly vote for, something that I may or may not like. I'd like everybody, this is a call for you to do some research, and web profiles will dramatically change the viewer and how we do things in Second Life. It is a precursor to other things as well. So it's a call out to do your homework, do a little bit of research. If when Linden Lab puts out changes, we don't have to have them. We do have a choice and we do have a voice. And so I'm just bringing this Jira to your attention, and that's about it.
Okay, well, we're going to get ready to go to a break in a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. But Jessica, with regards to the web-based profiles, I will just say you can't put lipstick on a pig and call it a beauty queen.
Yeah.
What you will want to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen, if you do decide to undertake Jessica's little mission, if you choose to accept it, is to be very carefully attentive to what information. I don't have anything against web-based profiles myself. I'm quite enthusiastic about them. I think they will add a level of integration to Second Life, but I do want you to pay careful attention to what about your activities and what about what you engage in Second Life is displayed on the web, because you may have things or believe you have things hidden that are indeed not hidden and are quite searchable. So please pay careful attention to that. And always, I'm sure, share your feedback and consider the JIRA as well. All right, we are going to take a quick break. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be back right after these messages. Welcome back. That was a short break. Everybody survived. We're all still.
That was a short break.
Yeah, delightfully short. So much for the commercialization of the web, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, now for the big announcement. I know that this is the reason that everybody's here. You're all excited to hear exactly what's in store. Jessica, why don't you take it away?
Okay, so I would like to introduce to everybody Tessa Harrington. She's sitting on my left. That would be on your right. Tessa Harrington is the co-founder of Spot On 3D Grid. And we have formed a type of partnership with Spot On 3D in that we're providing a Phoenix viewer based on 818 for now to work on their grid, along with some Spot On 3D specific features being implemented in that. So basically it's 818 plus some Spot On features, and it will be used to access the Spot On 3D grid specifically. It will be a separate download from our 818 viewer. It will use a separate settings file, so it won't you won't have any problems going between that viewer and our regular 818 viewer. And as we continue to develop the Phoenix viewer, we will continue to provide Spot On with binaries of that viewer, along with their features, their added features. What that means for you is basically, so I'm going to clear up this misconception straight away, because there's going to be, oh my gosh, you're leaving Second. No, we're not leaving Second Life. We are providing a viewer for Spot On 3D, for their grid, for use on their grid, for you to use on their grid if you like. And some of the reasons why we've partnered with Spot On is because one of them being that they have a very strong focus on content protection and intellectual property rights, and that is a real winner for me. That means a lot to me, and I think it's great that they're working towards that end, or towards that goal. And so introducing Tessa, go ahead.
Hello everyone, how you doing? Sorry, just a moment. Spot On 3D has been in existence. We started way back in November 2008, actually, after I went to the Virtual Worlds conference with my design firm, Unreal Designs. And we saw there was a real need for some alternative system, and we'd been checking out OpenSim platform for quite a while, and decided it was the time to jump in and start learning how to use it and cultivating the skills and the staff to open up our own OpenSim grid with our own flavor focus. We have gone off trunk to a certain extent in the last 2 years to remedy a lot of bugs and really kind of twist and torture it to do what we need to do. It is our own separate flavor on top of OpenSim, but we do have and we not only the capability, we actually do this every time we upgrade. We tie in our systems back to the OpenSim community trunk, and that way we can always keep in line, because we did notice that any grids that went off trunk usually ended up having problems of sustaining their momentum. So we are very big about staying on OpenSim. Unfortunately, all my coders that came to me had looked at the client, and because of that, we've not been able to submit a lot of help to trunk. But we hope to do some more community things that will help us put in our fair weight into the OpenSim community in the metaverse, such as a universal slurl replacement, since we need to start using something more generic, and that applies to everyone. And double Dutch delivery, which is our multi-grid delivery system, and also trying to establish reasonable standards for content distribution and protection.
Could you tell us a little bit more about double ditch delivery? I think that's a really fantastic idea.
Well, this way is, I know a lot of people have heard about hypergrid and the ability to move your content around. In comparison, this one's far more secure and really keeps the value of the client and the content creators in mind. And how it works is, if you come to one of our designers, either through a kiosk in SL or on another grid, or through Spot on 3D, you'll have a choice of a Spot on 3D only price for all our grids, because we are about multiple grids, not just about one grid, that will be usable on all those, meaning the universal avatar, universal inventory, universal registration. You register once, you can go to any of them. And then you'll get a secondary price of that product if that creator has decided to sell it beyond Spot on 3D, and that will have a DDD on it for double Dutch delivery. And if you buy that, it'll be obviously more expensive, but they're promising at that point that they will deliver a copy of that item to any grid you and they share a presence in. So if you have a presence in 4 other grids, then at the time of purchase, you will get a copy for all those goods to all 4 of those grids. And that way we're replicating legally your inventory at the purchase point. And for me, this seems like the most sensible way to do it. Everybody, the creator's name is retained, they get their fair compensation right up at the front, and you get portability. Then you don't have to ever worry about having a DMCA claim on you or content suddenly going poof.
And so this is basically an opt-in option for content creators.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's totally voluntary. We'll be going to the grid owners that are really struggling because they need content. There's a lot of wonderful artists out there who are making really interesting grids and the only reason they aren't succeeding is because of a lack of content. And I would strongly urge creators who argue there's not enough people on these grids, it's a chicken and egg thing. If you have faith and if you give a grid that option to sell your items through them, they will grow. No, it's no different than having mini stores or vendors in other locations around in Second Life. It's just a matter of getting your brand out there and making it accessible to them. And it doesn't mean you leave SL. It means you expand beyond them. We have, I think it's like over 10,000 grids out there using the OpenSim trunk code, and this can be as little as 1 region or as many as 500. But there are people out there, and they are very interested in doing some really terrific things. And we're trying to get it to where the creators can show their support for that, and that the really respectful grid owners can have a way to negotiate with the content creators and support their model to bring content to them. This also, Spot On Synergy is where Double Dutch Delivery flows through. That's our marketplace, and it's totally web-based. So meaning it can work on any grid. So we're also in just as by osmosis, that grid owner gets an economy system and the content delivery. So it's really quite a boon, and it's been quite a feat to do this. We've had a lot of starts and starts, as anyone who's known Spot On in the last 2 years will attest. It's been a long time getting Double Dutch Delivery out, but we feel like this is really the step in the right direction for everyone, so the whole issue of the IP can be put to rest. It really does need to for our communities to grow.
And I'm sure a lot of people have a question of whether you're prepared to expand if and when the time comes that you need to expand. Are you prepared financially to do that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We already have, we're not there, but we're approaching $250,000 on this venture. It's not been an easy feat, and we have a lot of very dedicated developers. We have about 12 people and growing. We just brought in our PR person, Callie Berman, there in the front row. Winking at Callie, giving her a little shout out there. She's wonderful, awesome. And we're going to be adding more. We have Anak Fuchs, who has a really outstanding audio streaming system for musicians, and it's going to be part of Music Jam. That's a grid that's going to be very focused on musicians and giving them a really neat venue where they can bring in up to 125 people in a lag-free, dedicated cloud server venue. It's going to be really exciting, and I welcome everybody to come today because we actually have musicians kicking the tires on our free performance stage in Spot On. Would love to have you listen to them and hear them, and anybody wants to perform, we have open mic. So it's really exciting. That's just a tip of the iceberg of some of the grids we'll be opening up this year. And we're really looking for the community not to look at it as leaving SL, because, look, I'm in SL 2 to 3 days a week still. I do grid wrap twice a week, and I am here doing business. I have my office hours here in Spot On my island here. So we're not about leaving SL. We're not about abandoning that community. But for many people, there is a need because of the finances of the times to have other choices. And it's just exciting to get out and see what you can do with OpenSim, because we have 256 by 256 prims, meaning you can stretch these prims out to the size of a region naturally. You can, there's no distance linking restrictions. You can daisy chain link sets to exceed the 256 limit. There's no need for megaprims. No, Daryl, we really can't support megaprims. I mean, they can get in, but they end up pushing the avatar around because they're sort of like origami. They're folded really weird to make them work in SL, and they end up pushing the avatar around, even if you make them phantom. So we always recommend that, if you not all of them do that, but some of them do, because they're just really complex. But yeah, we always recommend that you replace them anyway, because there's no need for them. There's no need for them.
Tessa, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm Phelan.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question.
I'm a big fan of yours. I've known you for years. I mean, I've known about you for years. So.
Well, thank you. I had a question because, see, I'm a blonde, sweetie, and some things take a little bit for me to wrap my mind around them. And I no offense to any blondes in the audience. The question for me is, Spot On 3D is a different virtual world.
Yes,
and
it is.
But it also somehow acts as a portal to other OpenSim grids or other grids that have been established. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Am I to understand that you can utilize Spot On 3D to go to different worlds, or is that done through the viewer?
It's done for the viewer, but we also, like I said, we're not about one big grid. We really saw the way things transpired in Second Life and the problem with business and education and children being thrown in the same mixing pot and not doing any kind of barriers between the two, or respectful lines of this is my turf, this is yours. It ended up creating a lot of problems and stress and drama and resentment in the communities, and we want these communities to grow, and we want to get people to get exactly to the community they're looking for very quickly, because the biggest complaint people have had about the virtual world experience is having to wander this vast, big world to find this little niche group of people that they really want to get to know and collaborate with. So in our own network of grids, we're branching off and doing all these microgrids, is what we call them, for micro communities. And that's in our hopes that when you find that sign for that grid that you feel might suit your needs, and when you land in their landing spot, that you'll see the kind of people that you want to engage with and get there very quickly, and you get the kind of help that you need for your particular project or your particular interest. But it's also about expanding beyond even our grids. We've always said it's not about our grid, it's not about any one grid, because I've been in this for 15 years, believe it or not. I'm the grand dame of virtual world. I've been in there since 1995. I opened up the first 3D internet mall with real paying customers, selling real life product, and we still not yet met that, and that's one of my goals. But one of the things we would like to see is that these grids get promoted by their communities. They have their own web portal website. They have their own avatars. Once you register once, you can go to any of them, but each one has their own identity, and then that's our hopes that they can really get close. But then you can also travel to other grids outside of our network through our map system, because we have a grid-to-grid TPing system. And once you set up it to recognize your avatar and password on that new grid, it will remember it for you, and you can TP from grid to grid to grid without any kind of hesitation. It's just like TPing from island to island. Now, of course, your inventory does not follow you through this system, because that would kind of break all kinds of copyright laws and would make creators very nervous, and also kind of can create, from what we've seen so far, some security issues. And we, though I don't want to bash any of the other methods to go from grid to grid, there are some really big concerns from a security and privacy point of view that I would urge everyone to look at before they really commit to seriously going into any of these programs, because one of the things we want to do is make sure that whatever we present to the world outside of our niche audience, which we will be actively seeking new users to come in, we want to make sure that they pick methods that aren't going to make them vulnerable. And one of those things is to make sure the software we use is pretty tight security-wise.
Sure. So is there, let's, in regards to moderation, I'm imagining that you said that your firm is the one that has established Spot on 3D. Is there a blanket terms of service that would go, that with regards to anybody that sort of attaches their grid or becomes accessible from Spot on? Is there a blanket terms of service, or is there rules that everybody must abide by, or must they go through like a filtering process?
The one thing
they're compliant.
Right. The one thing we'll ask of the grid owners that we expand Double Dutch delivery to, in exchange for giving them this free market system and the web-based content system and access to the creators who will be utilizing that, we'll ask in return for a region to house their kiosks, and that they promise that if they have a DMCA event, they go through our system and on Spot on 3D. And I think most grid owners would say, oh, thank God, yes, because it's a very tedious, scary process, and if you don't have a lawyer, it can get very, very scary from any point of view, whether you're the creator or you're the grid owner, because you are held liable and responsible for executing certain orders that go with a DMCA complaint. But it also means that they would have to comply with the end run it was. And, you know, we understand for some people that may not be something they're interested in. We respect that. But we have a clear path to handle disputes. One is with our dispute resolution that is totally community-driven and totally voluntary. That, you know, we call out to the community for volunteers to hear a case. It is public, and it's all done with avatar names at that point. It's completely free. And the idea is that we can educate the community on disputes, not only just about IP, because there's lots of other disputes we've seen in the virtual worlds, contracts you have with real-life companies, with virtual companies, which really, in our estimation, they're all one and the same. But the idea is that when the dispute resolution listens to that, they come up with their idea of what would be a fair resolution, and they have access to Stephen Lieberman, who is my business partner and the other co-founder of Spot on 3D. He happens to be an IP, copyright, patent, and trademark attorney. So they have him to call upon to say, you know, we want to do this. Does this have legal legs? So that they can be sure whatever they're putting out there as a resolution is solid and isn't based on anything that really can't hold up in a court of law, or at least be considered in a court of law. Now, if either party still feels like they're not satisfied with that, they do have the option to go up to the real world arbitration. We, because of Stephen's connections in the legal community, he has an exclusive agreement with virtualcourthouse.com, and it's designed by a retired judge, and it's made up of a number of judges from around the world. The decisions, the arbitration with them starts at $150, so it's really economical. But of course, if you ask for special services and special things, you know, it could go up. But if you've ever arbitrated, you know that's like incredibly cheap. It's usually like $2,000 or more. But their decisions are recognized in over 150 countries. So this is really a very full-fledged solution for a lot of the problems, and it really keeps us as the grid owners out of the picture. We just obey whatever happens through these procedures that are really ordained by the community and by the laws that exist now. And we feel this is the best way to handle it instead of doing the he said, she said, because we know how that's ended up here.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Crazy. Yeah.
So we were hoping to have it. We were hoping
Am I
to have
talking too much? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. We're just looking at the amount of questions we have and the amount of time we have left.
Okay.
We were hoping to have a Phoenix build actually ready for Spot On, but we ran into some last-minute bugs, so we don't have it ready. However, there's nothing stopping you from signing into the Spot On 3D. And you can get their website at www.spoton3d.com. And you can get a little preview using their own viewer for now. And we're hoping that we'll have a, I guess you can say a beta, something we're trying to do very quickly, and get a Phoenix build working on the grid probably by tomorrow. And but we'll still have quite a bit of work still to do on that viewer. But
And we'll be setting up. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We'll be setting up, I've got one of my coder guys working on a jobber board because we have quite a lot of things that our existing residents want, and I'm sure the new ones coming in will need it because obviously we're a new grid and we don't have everything you're going to want. I'll be real honest. So, but don't look at that as a negative. Look at that as an opportunity because there's tons of opportunities there. And if you ask me or one of the guys or look on the jobber board when we get it up, I'm sure you'll find something if you're a scripter, modeler, builder. There'll be work for you to do either on a community level as a service to the community or as fee-paying jobs from us and others that you can actually make money at. Because we believe very strongly in having people, give them the options in the room to grow and actually express their artistry and make a living at it. I think, I don't think artists have to be starving. Do you girls?
Amen to that. That's what I'm saying. I've been saying that for 8 years. So I'm sure, as you ladies can imagine, we have a tremendous amount of questions. And Good. We've got everybody really enthusiastic and excited. But for just a moment, we're going to roll back because in the beginning of the show, we started talking about Firestorm. So we've got a lot of questions about Firestorm as well, and then we'll move on to our Spot on 3D questions. So ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you right now, if you have questions for the lovely Tessa or Jessica with regards to the partnership with Spot on 3D, please feel free to IM me your questions now. So first of all, Jessica, somebody, a member of the audience, Star Maker Boa, says that they're having a bit of a technical issue, and it's that when she goes into her account history, it says that she has to enable cookies. How does she do that here, and what does she click?
Cookies are enabled through your web browser, so it depends on what web browser you're using, whether it's Internet Explorer, Firefox. That's all done through the web browser, not actually through the viewer, and it depends on the web browser that you're using. If you do a Google search, so if you're using Internet Explorer 8, for example, you do Google search on how do I enable cookies on Internet Explorer 8, and you'll find a lot of results.
Okay, moving right along. Cami Hudson. So, you guys, I don't know what this is. I'm getting IMs from my friends who never talk to me, and suddenly, like, everybody wants my attention right now. I don't know. And all of you are my friends too. Don't get me wrong, but everybody who's out there and who never talks to me says, well, they want to talk to me right now. Cami Hudson, another individual in the audience, says that she has a presence in 3 grids and she uses them a lot with other viewers. And when she gets back to Phoenix, the cache seems to be corrupted a lot of times, which never happened with 725, but it is happening with 818. Is there a specific known issue there?
We have had some reports of broken cache, and it's certainly not a very common issue, but some people have reported that, and there are ways to fix it. I could go into detail on the show, but it's really a support issue. If you guys have that problem, contact our support. You can get there from, you can reach our support group, Phoenix Viewer Support. We have 25 support people. Pretty much there's at least 4 or 5 online at any given time, and they can help you fix that.
Okay, we're going to move right along to Shug Maitland. Shug says, will the preview play well with Phoenix installed on the same machine? So the Firestorm preview, will you be able to have both programs installed on your machine at the same time?
Absolutely. In fact, of course, that's something that we wanted to make sure that Firestorm doesn't interfere with Phoenix, because I expect people will have, this is a preview. We don't expect people to use it on a regular basis, not yet. So it's something that we expect a lot of people will try it out, have a look around, and then go back to Phoenix. And so Firestorm uses its own settings files, and you can uninstall it without it deleting all your chat logs and everything else. And so yeah, it won't interfere with Phoenix at all. There is one thing it will interfere with, which is if you have a keyword alert set. Firestorm will reset that on you, but we'll have that fixed before too long.
Jessica, I'm going to ask you a question that I know you get a lot, but there's a reason that I'm asking this question. You said that just within the last couple of weeks that you've come tremendously far, surprisingly far, on the development of Firestorm. So this is a question worth revisiting now. Nero Light Braun says, I'd like to know if Firestorm is going to be a huge difference from SL Viewer 2, or is it going to be just SL Viewer 2 with extra features and settings the way Emerald and Phoenix were for the most part?
Right, so Firestorm as it is right now is, most people will argue, quite a bit different from the Linen Lab Viewer 2. And I will say that we have pretty much no Phoenix features in it yet. Basically, it's all UI changes, and that's what you're going to see in the preview. We do have a couple odds and ends features here and there from Phoenix, but very few. The biggest difference you're going to notice is things that everybody's pointed out is wrong with the Linen Lab Viewer 2, things that people hate about the Viewer 2. We've addressed pretty much most of those. There's still a lot more that we have planned to do, and but we're very excited. I think you guys will like it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, if you've got your mics open, please remember to mute yourself so that you can hear the answers to the questions that are being given up here. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, if you've got your mics open, please remember to mute yourself so that you can hear the answers to the questions that are being given up here. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry about the echoes. We've got somebody with an open mic here. There we go.
Okay, we're gonna get right back to the questions. We've got a lot of you waiting. So let's see here. Tessa, we're going to jump to you for just a brief moment because Daryl Darkfire would like to know, does Spot on 3D support in-world currency to USD?
Our currency is actually not in world, so it can be universal and used in any grid. And it's tied directly to your key account and the marketplace we have. So you could like get a free forever account with us, never spend any money on our grid, and use it strictly for another grid once we expand to those grids. So it's really a free floating market system.
Yes, I'm trying to find it.
On the website, web-based system, so that the most content would be available to be seen. And it's important that you get your product seen. Purchasing is surprisingly very simple, very much like what you do now. You see a sign, you click it. But instead of using a laggy system in world, think about if you have 100,000 people clicking a button that does the same thing at the same time, which is about the equivalent of everybody shopping in SL, it does add a lot of lag. We figure it's going to save us about 30% overall. So the idea is that you click a sign, it triggers the HTML page to open up, you see your choice, you get a lot more information on what it is, and you purchase it right there. And it's pretty seamless. It's pretty neat. From the creator point of view, it is a little more work for them because they can't just throw it in a box and go. But long term, this is a decision we had to make to ensure that we wouldn't have the lag problems and the scam problems and the problems of hidden content and stuff like that, because we do want our grids to be accessible to all the world, including kids all the way up to adults. And with our segregated communities, that should be very, very possible, because mature on our grid means mature. If you don't have a mature premium account, you cannot go to mature area. You cannot see mature content on our web. It's not something you just click and bypass. You actually have to have a mature account to shop for mature. The only way a kid is going to get mature is if they get an account illegally with us, breaking our TOS, or if an adult gives them content like that. And if I find an adult giving a child something like that, they're out. Then no questions, no arguments.
Applause that. Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, Jessica, we're going to jump back to you. You ready for a question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Edward Soulstar wants to know if the Firestorm preview scheduled for release next week will be a generalized strip down of the Linden Lab version Viewer 2.4 with customization tools.
Well, essentially, yes. Basically, we've done so much, and so much that we can't fit it all into the short time that I have to answer this question. But, for example, sidebar behavior has been changed. We're giving you options, right? One of the things I think that Linden Lab did wrong is by taking away people's options in how they set up their workflow, how they do what they want to do. And we're trying to give that back. So we've set, we're giving you a couple different skins. If you like the sidebar, you can use that skin and have the sidebar. If you don't like the sidebar can be removed and broken into floaters, which can actually be enclosed. And you can reopen them from buttons down at the bottom bar. To make room for those buttons, we've turned them into icons, and so it might take a little while to get used to what each one does, although they have pretty self-explanatory graphical images on them, and if you hover over them, it'll tell you what it's for. So basically we've moved the sidebar buttons off the sidebar down onto the bottom bar. And you can also hide some of those buttons. So for example, the home button, which I personally think is for the most part pretty useless for most people, you can hide that. You can open that floater, close it, and hide that button. You'll never have to look at that ever again. And so basically our focus has been around giving you guys back the ability to customize the way you use your viewer. We have just recently, and this is fantastic, we now have friend list and group list in the communicate window, just like 1.23. So, you know, I think people are going to absolutely love what we've done with it. As long as you understand it is a preview, it's still work in progress.
How many people will you be allowing into the preview?
Well, it will be publicly available. We're not going to prevent people from downloading it, as long as they do understand that it is a preview and we can't provide official support. Our support people have enough to deal with Phoenix right now, and Firestorm is new to them too. So we can't provide official support for it, but we will try to help you when you have problems. If you need help, we really encourage you, if you're going to try it, join the Firestorm preview group. You can get a lot of help in there. There's a lot of helpful people there. A lot of people who have been compiling Firestorm on their own from our source code for some time now, and they're quite used to it, and they can help you out with things.
Okay. Tessa, we're going to shoot it back to you for a moment. Again, Edward asks a question that I found really compelling, because I remember a couple of years ago that Mitch Kapoor, one of the board members for Linden Lab, who made Second Life, had said that they thought the future was going to be interoperability, where we could go from grid to grid and things like that. So this begs the question, and if any of you weren't here then, it begs me to ask the question, what about somebody having a Second Life avatar? Can they go from Second Life to Spot on 3D minus their inventory and have the same name?
They have to set up an account, because Linden Lab has rights to everything that belongs on their grid and through their server, as we do, and their TOS is quite restrictive. Ours isn't. We don't own anyone's IP. All we ask for is the right to distribute content and maintain inventories. So that means I can't force Linden Labs to give us access to their server data. I can't force Linden Labs to make it easier for content creators to expand. That is going to have to come from this community. If that's the things they want, and hopefully they'll listen, because I think I would love to see Linden Lab more involved in the metaverse as a whole. I love Second Life. I've been in this industry for 15 years, and when I came into Second Life, I wanted to kiss Philip's feet, because it had I couldn't believe I could texture a different texture on every face of the prim, and tint it a different color, and twist it and torture it and make it into wonderful things. I was just enthralled, and I still look at that and think, that is such a dynamic menu, and we would not be here if it wasn't for Second Life. They should be in this with us. They should be coming with us, and I would urge them to, Linden Labs, to have a little trust, that the community is really there for them. I don't think any of us would have been this long suffering if we didn't love this community and love this software, and we want them to be a part of the growth of the metaverse.
Absolutely. Just briefly moving on, Timothy Huxley says that you mentioned in your speech the creation of an SL URL that would be grid-wide or universal. So he'd like to know if you think OS URLs will be created by New Worlds, so you can click on a link and go to a different grid.
I believe there is one that's starting to roll up, and we want something that's more generic. But if the OS thing is what people take on, I have no problems with that. This is all about pushing the community forward, not one group forward. And OS might get misconstrued, because there's a lot of grids named that have the initials OS. That's the only thing that kind of worries me about that. Or O in it, and that can get pretty confusing if they start doing their own URL, because anybody can do this. It's really not difficult, but it's all about creating standards, I think, that we share, and that's going to get sorted out. It's just going to have to go through its process of too many options, and then people deciding what they love the most.
Duncan Royce asked a really interesting question. He says that 100% of the people on one grid equals 100% of the grid. So if you have 5 grids, that's 20% of the people per grid. Does that mean there's even less people around? Right now, we know that Second Life is very staggered in terms of community, how difficult it is to find people to do something with. Is there a way that you're connecting all of those people in some fashion? Do you have some sort of function that allows people to see where people are at, or?
Well, that's some of the things we would actually like to develop with Jessica and her team, is how to bring the community together. Because, like, some people come to our grid and we're all just so busy working on our projects that they don't see us right there at the front, and they assume, well, nobody's doing anything here. Well, really, there's quite a lot going on underneath in our little regions, and it's hard to communicate that. So we started using something called Agile Zen. One of our residents recommended it to us for sort of like a project management tool, and I would like to talk to that group, that company who designed that, and see if they can make a community version of it where people who want their projects to be out there for people to see can put it up, and they can watch the progress and even make suggestions and ideas based on what they see happening with that project. That's not something that's going to happen overnight, but that's my goal. One of my goals. The jobber thing will also act as a big way to let the community know, hey, look, they're looking for this. They must be doing something neat, and tagging up and getting to know that person. And there is the OpenSim IRC system that we would like to tag into as well, where you can talk to anybody in the metaverse from no matter where you are. And we think that's all really, really, really important for the expansion of the metaverse.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much. Jessica, a question for you. This is really interesting because in a past show you mentioned that 8.18 was going to be the final 1.x sort of a build for Phoenix. It was all, the content was going to be primarily development-wise moved to Firestorm. So we've got questions asking whether or not actually you're going to further improve the 8.18 build at all. Are you going to add any additional features, or
Oh, yeah.
is development going to continue on 8.18 to fix bugs and things like that?
We will continue development on 8.1, well, on Phoenix, and I can't say on 8.18 because every time we make a change, it's 8.19, 8.90, etc. We will continue developing Phoenix Viewer until it literally no longer works. But our main focus is on Firestorm, and it will continue to be on Firestorm. We have already done some more work on Phoenix, and we're focusing on bug issues on the Phoenix Viewer. A lot of people are still putting in for feature requests and so on. Unfortunately, we're not going to do much more on features. Any features that we do have to go into Firestorm first. That has to be our focus. And so not so much features in Phoenix from this point on, but bug fixes, yes. And we hope to have actually another Phoenix release within the next couple of weeks. So we are continuing to develop the Phoenix Viewer.
Okay, we're going to jump back to Tessa for a minute. Kate Miranda in the audience says that she's hearing the plans as the owners of Spot On will be programming musicians directly at a Spot On venue. She said she visited last night and the venue was being tested. The thing that concerns her about this is that she spent 3 years coordinating a series, and that series got started because musicians found it difficult to both play, coordinate, and promote at their concerts. So this seems like a step backward. She says she also thinks that the concert series, like mine, classical early music, have a special voice that might be lost. So how are you streamlining those concerts and events?
Well, a neck flute system, and I've actually seen this firsthand, will allow, I've seen 3 musicians simultaneously performing together. It's the first time I've ever seen this online. There is some latency, of course. There's no way to avoid it completely, but it's so accurate that, it's like they're in the same room, and I think that's a step forward. We're also making the stages from which the musicians perform from pre-done, so they can just jump right into them and do their music. So it should actually make it quite easier. Ordering a cloud instance to run your venue on is very easy. You click a web page, you order how many hours you want, and you're done. You go in and choose your venue, or you pull out your own, because you can order a bare island or something that's already built. And then you're up and going, and all you have to do is PR. And we'll even have help with that, because we're partnered with Snow Crash Digital, who does the Hermes system, and they're helping us to produce ways to help musicians market their system. Of course, Callie has some great ideas too that she would probably bring to the table with us. So it's a lot of interesting people, and they're insiders. I'm not an insider musician. I'll be real honest, but I love music. I love to listen to music. I sing in the bath and I sing in the shower, and nobody wants to hear me, but but I love to hear musicians perform. And this is my little pet project, so that we can help the musicians. I want to see them get to a point where they're dealt with like a real life musician, where they can, yes, charge maybe a little bit up the door, but give their users like an MP3 player with some songs on it, so they're not like paying a buck and just not getting anything. We want to give them something back for their experience, and give them that intimate, one-on-one kind of experience with each other. So that's really our goals with Music Jam. I don't think it's a step backward. I respect your opinion, though. Maybe attend one of the functions when we really live and see if you feel the same way. Try it out for yourself. It's really easy.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. You know what? Here's a really good question, Jessica, for you. Let's see. Rebecca Hoffen-Yang would actually like to know, will the spot on Phoenix be the same that is used with SL? And that sort of asks the question, if indeed it isn't the same viewer and it's being separately developed from the viewer we log into Second Life with, will there be a different development team so that the focus on Firestorm can maintain progressive?
A very good question. Actually, we've got a couple devs that I've sort of assigned to this project, So, first of all, it's a couple multi-part question there. The first answer is yes, it's the same viewer. And when we do another Phoenix release, if it's Phoenix 912 or something, we'll add in spot-on features to that and provide that binary to spot-on 3D. So it is the same viewer. It has the same features plus some of spot-on's own unique features added to it. We have a lot of projects on the go. Firestorm and Phoenix and Spot-On aren't the only ones. We've got translation projects. We've got there's just umpteen dozen things on the go right now, and my head explodes when I try to think of them all. Yeah, we do have a couple devs who are specifically assigned to the Spot-On project, when they're not working on that, they're working back with Firestorm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have time for 3 more questions. Then we're going to have to excuse ourselves, but we've got really good questions here. And interestingly enough, Tessa, this is the big question. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, so JDog929 Aries asks, is the price of Spot-On 3D, I'm assuming he means independent regions, going to be the same price, or will it go up in price like SL has? So are we looking at a comparison here?
Yeah, we've been really honest that our prices right now, they're basically at cost. And we call this our land brush period, because we want to make sure the SLers and our loyal family that we know of in SL have an opportunity to give them a little bit of a benefit, quite honestly, because you all come with a great amount of experience, great talent. We know you're going to be a benefit, and these prices will be grandfathered for everyone who grabs it now, as long as your subscription is in force. And those are going to be less, obviously, than when we branch out and start bringing in other audiences from outside our little niche. Those prices are, if you're interested in parcels, $9.99, $14.99, and $18.99 for double prim parcels. And then we have, we're actually announcing today, this is our premiere for a new island product for $24.99. We're going to have a $37.50, just like a homestead, a full island. And then we have our $39.99 5K sim, and then a 50K sim for $59.99. There is no setup fee.
$59.99 is a big major difference from
Yeah,
$300 a month. I'm just
yes, it
saying.
is. It is.
So I hope you're
Well,
all with
we
me on
can.
that.
Yeah, we can do this because a lot of people assume that the OpenSim platform is exactly the same in SL. It's really, really not. It is a totally different animal, and it's really completely been rewritten. And some things don't work as well on OpenSim as they do on SL because of that difference. But by and all, you get a really good comparison functionality. But it is different, and like we can host a ton more regions on one of our powerhouse servers than you could in Second Life. So that really allows us to lower our price down.
How many people can be on one of your regions in Spot On?
Anywhere from 10 to 25. It just depends upon what region you're buying into. And if that's not enough, we have built in what we call Boost Cloud. And that means, let's say you're going to throw a party. You want to make sure you don't have any lag. You want to make sure anything else going on the grid does not affect your performance. You can turn on the Boost Cloud, order it for a couple hours. It's $2.99 an hour, really cheap. Even if you did it 4 times or 2 times a week, 4 times for a month, it would still be far less, like less than half of what you would spend here. No bashing SL. We understand they have more expenses than we do. But the idea is that you can turn on that cloud. It's completely dedicated server, you only and your audience only, and you can bring in up to 125 people.
Excellent.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
125
That's
people.
amazing. That's amazing.
Flexies too.
So just briefly, Norella Brenner has an incredible question that I'd be remiss not to ask. So it's
Okay.
absolutely, it's a really good question. Let's say that I go to Spot On 3D and I create an account and then I start making purchases using the Double Dutch system. How secure is my account, my financial information, and my personal information?
It's all backed by PayPal, and the numbers on our websites are just accounting, so the money never leaves PayPal. PayPal is backed by banks because all their money is deposited in real-world banks, and they're FIDC approved. And I personally have a debit card with PayPal that I do everything by PayPal now, so I have no problems with PayPal at all. I think it's just an extremely effortless program. I've heard some Europeans it's a little bit different for them because the laws are different over in Europe, but all I can say is my experience has been wonderful.
One issue with PayPal has been that for people who are avatars like myself and sensitive about our identities, oftentimes when we pay somebody by PayPal or receive a payment by PayPal, it discloses our real identity and oftentimes our address and real location. So that I can understand why that would be a sensitivity concern for people, worried about disclosure. Of course, that wouldn't be on the part of Spot On 3D, but that would definitely be an issue with PayPal.
Right.
And obviously, it's very difficult to go and make a bank account with your avatar's name so that you maintain your anonymity and your because
Right.
in virtual
Well, the
worlds,
only
we often
way
don't know who to do business with.
the only way I know that somebody's going to get your identity is and spill it through PayPal is if they're just not careful with it, and or not you, but the person who you do business with, and that's the only way I know that you can have a security problem with your privacy. But I've not had any problems with privacy issues from PayPal side exposing me at all, and I've not really heard anyone have
Really?
that problem.
Oh, that's interesting. I had a client in Italy that paid me for a job via PayPal. It was the first time I'd accepted PayPal, and he got a receipt back that PayPal auto manifested, and it divulged my real life name. And he went and looked me up online, and started reading back to me things that I had written, which was very creepy and very freakish. So, anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. We could go on for another hour, and please do feel free to stay online and ask your questions. We will keep Tessa just for a few moments after the show, as well as Jessica. So if I didn't get to your question, please don't leave us yet. You've got time to ask them. Ladies and thank you, Tessa and Jessica, for being with us tonight. I deeply appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck on this adventure. For Rezzed.TV, I am Phelan Fairchild. This is Jessica and Tessa, and we wish you all a great week, and we will see you in 2 weeks.